Dan, North Canterbury, it's been a very long 12 months as far as drought is concerned.
It has. It's been a long, tough stint. I guess we're hoping that we get a bit of a spring to get us out of it, but that still remains to be seen. But it's still there on the cards, so we're not past it yet.
Morale seems pretty high.
It does. You know, I guess everyone talks about the resilience of the farming community, and I think this area has really just shown that in spades this year. It has been an absolutely diabolical run, and you know, people are still smiling and they're still laughing. Yeah, there's underlying problems there, but and there are some pockets of, I guess, sheer desperation, but the resilience is pretty amazing. So, and morale's still reasonably high.
You're getting some amazing support for some pretty strange places.
Yeah, we are. We are. I know you've done a story with Grant Sylvester from Christchurch about his bit with the feed. That's lined up with some other stuff that we've had offered directly, and I don't know where that's sitting in numbers now, but I would pick it's probably not far off 1,000 bales of hay and baleage, which is bloody amazing, donated, and some pretty big cash donations which have gone towards the freight of that as well. So the Give a Little page that they set up, I think, has had over $6,500 last time I looked at it, and that's pretty outstanding.
We obviously don't know what is in the future, but everybody seems to be sure that they're going to get through.
Oh, well, we don't have much choice, do we? We will get through. We'll be in some sort of shape when we get to the end of it. There'll be some people who will be hit harder than others, I guess, and you know, I'm asked quite often to put numbers around that, but it's pretty hard because everyone's so different. But look, there's the reality, particularly going forward, as with other agricultural industries at the moment, that some people will probably have to manage themselves out of the business, but the majority will get through.
It's interesting that if this was a snowstorm, you would have a lot more sympathy and a lot more support. Yeah,
it's quite interesting that. But if you have a snowstorm, it melts and then it's a bit wet for a while and then away you go again. Whereas this is, but we're over 12 months, probably close to 15 months since we've had average grass growth. And for a lot of that time, that grass growth would be actually nil, not below average, it's nothing. So it really is pretty hard going. But there's been a huge range of different options come out for people to work through it. Look, a huge range. Different things that we probably wouldn't have thought were on the table a few years ago. So, and people have taken that up in different shapes and forms, and they're getting through as well as could be expected. Probably better than could be expected.
It's interesting that obviously destocking is one of the options, and it seems as though there's pretty good demand for stock.
Yeah, there is. We've heard today from Hazlitt's demand in mid-Canterbury and other areas for in-lamb ewes, and for as well, it looks as though there'll be reasonable demand for ewes with lambs at foot once they're sort of at a stage they can travel, is pretty high. That's positive. You know, there's nothing worse than feeding a ewe $50 worth of feed through the winter and then having to sell it for 75. That's a pretty tough pill to swallow, but if you can get 120 or 150 for it, then it's still not a preferred position, but at least it's a viable one.
Another thing, of course, is communication. You must, I understand, communicate with your accountant and your bank.
Yeah, and those conversations, look, I got told the other day that if those conversations are easy, maybe look for another accountant or another bank, because you don't want a yes man in those positions at the moment. They're going to be tough conversations in some cases, but they will be easier if they're had earlier, and they have to be had.
Well, there's all sorts of support systems that are out there, and if you don't talk to somebody, you don't know about them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And days like this today are absolutely fundamental to that, I think. You know, personally, I've been, because of the role I'm in now, I've been to a lot more of these this year, and I reckon I've got through this drought a lot easier than I would have otherwise if I hadn't have been attending them. So you pick up little bits and pieces, and through conversation, through field days, through communication.